All right, welcome back to the program. My guest is joining me right now. She's Adaku Idara, the Managing Director and the Chief Executive Officer at Emerging Africa Asset Management Limited. Good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning, Nancy. Thank you for having me.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Are we wearing almost the same color? What happened? Was there a memo exchange?
We're twins. As well. We
Uh,
didn't plan it. Please assure the audience.
exactly, we did not. We didn't plan it. So welcome again to the program. I don't know if you watched what we just played now, the children expressing themselves as to what they will do with 5,000 naira. I think we played it last time. Because of Children's Day, we went out to the street to find out from children, to find out how much they even know about financial literacy and all of that. We just decided to ask them that simple question. I did lament last week, or just a few days ago, that I'm troubled by the way children are now becoming adults, so to speak, in terms of fending for themselves, even in families. But we know what the economy is doing. But where I'm actually going to is also the central point there, which many of the children did mention. Mommy, mommy, mommy was coming up in what they were saying. I will give my mommy this. I will give my mommy this. How central are mothers or mommies in educating children? Because it seems we've forgotten daddies now, but I'm going to bring them back into the conversation. How central are mommies in educating children about money?
I would say very central. And, I had the same, perception as well, when I watched the video, because there was just, I'll give my mommy this to buy me shoes. I'll give my mommy this to cook food for us and things like that. So mothers are very central to the whole money conversation. And I think, there's something now called money parenting, and that's something, that, parents really should take cognizance of, really, because it's simply the process, of educating our children, on the financial and social responsibilities, that come with having money. And essentially, the goal of this would be to be able to then pass on, attitudes that would help with the expectation that this would help them manage their finances, better in later life. Mothers are very central because more often than not, the fathers are out there chasing the bacon and all that. Mothers tend to be around, a lot more. Kudos to the fathers out there. I don't want to step on any toes this bright Friday morning, but truly, I believe that mothers are very central to the money parenting conversation.
So why are money lessons important for children? Because even listening to that, I could see that we don't have money lessons. They are not really being taught. I don't know how they teach them in school beyond 1 naira plus 1 naira, if there's even 1 naira, or 5 naira, or 50 naira plus 50 naira is 100 naira. Why are money lessons important for children, really?
Money lessons are really important for children, to be honest. I think growing up, and I'm sure a lot of the people in the audience can relate. The most we heard from our parents was that, money doesn't grow on trees. And that was really like the extent of the financial lessons that we learned as children. I believe there were fewer parents that then went on to teach children about, the value of money. We all know that money is a value, store of value, a means of exchange and all of that. Money lessons are important, therefore, to teach children from a very early age, right? The value of money, the fact that they need to save, the fact that they need to spend responsibly, right? And this will ultimately, like I said earlier, help them manage their finances later on in future. The money mindset is also, something that's very important, and it's important for parents to help their children mold this mindset. And really, the money mindset is really just about, your overriding, thoughts and attitudes around, one's finances. So the importance of money lessons really can't be overemphasized. If there's any parent out there that's building a business at the moment, with the hope and the expectation, I know somewhere down the line, years from now, that the children will be able to take over that business and take it to the next level, then it then becomes even more important for those money lessons to be taught. There's a recent research that was done by the Kellogg's school in the Northwestern University in the US. And that research basically discovered that only 30% of family-owned businesses actually make it to the second generation, right? This typically happens because by the time it gets to the second generation, the heirs will run through, the funds and run through the business within a few years, and the business just crumbles, and that is that. So when these money lessons are taught, and from a very early age, even in terms of being able to, preserve and grow generational wealth will actually will be more of a thing, especially in this part of the world.
If we take a look at these money lessons we're talking about, or money education, when do you think it should begin for children, really? When should we start teaching our children, or words, or even those that we're taking care of, even though they are not our children biologically? When should we start this money education? Beyond, money doesn't grow on trees. Or if you ask for this, no, I'm going to give you. If you ask for 500 naira, no, I'm going to give you 200 naira. No, you work for money. Beyond that rhetoric.
So in terms of, what age really, behavioral scientists have said that you can start teaching children about money from age 3, right? Some other schools of thought feel that you can start from ages 4 to 5, but what I have discovered, is that by age 7, everyone pretty much believes that at age 7, children's attitudes have been formed already about money. Right. So it's important. So I would say that start from age 2, start from age 3, and you can turn it into a game, to be honest, because that's what will make it stick with the children. So by age 3, they should, I assume by then the children are talking, a bit well. You can then start teaching them about, the different currencies. Growing up, we had coins, right? But these days it's paper money we have now. So we can start teaching our children, how to differentiate between the different, currencies, even in terms of helping them with their numbers, so they can see the 200, they can see the 500, and they then will, be taught that, okay, this is a 200 naira note, this is a 50 naira note, this is a 100 naira note. So I would say anything from between ages 3 to 5, but start early and let children know, that money is something that, can actually provide, because at whatever age, no matter how early or how young they are, children tend to understand that money is something that can be used to buy something, right? So they understand money in terms of spending it, right? But when you start these, these lessons, and if you can turn it into a game, because it sticks better with them, they then know, okay, this is a 200 naira note. A 200 naira note will buy you your ice cream, or a 500 naira note will buy you your ice cream. So then they can then, start seeing that, okay, fine, this money, the value that this money has is different from the value that this other one has as well. And they then know that if they put together their money in terms of whatever, they save from, gifts from family members or visitors and all of that, it can then be used to buy them, things of a certain higher value or lower value, obviously depending on how much they've saved. So age 3 is my final answer.
Okay. The other question will now be, how do you teach children money lessons and making it stick with them? Because we know that, when you're teaching children, especially little children as they're coming up, I don't even know how much you can do with toddlers. But those toddlers have sense, so really, if you have a toddler, they are very great manipulators, because I have one myself. So it's like, once you he knows what he wants, even at that age. But how do you teach them those lessons and make it stick with them?
Okay, so I mean, and you're very correct. And I think that's what a lot of parents struggle with. They struggle to know when exactly to start. They struggle to know how exactly to start. But the truth of the matter is that we just need to keep things very simple, right? So I've given it the example of being able to have those show and tell. So you have different currency notes, and they learn the difference between a 100 naira note and a 200 naira note, right? You can also then encourage them that if you say, okay, so this ice cream you've been asking me for since last week, if you're able to save throughout the month of June, for example, and we get up to 1,000 naira, then we will be able to buy the ice cream that you want. And possibly you might even have, some change. So these lessons have to be very practical. You're dealing with toddlers, but the children of these days we need to give them more credit. They're smarter than we know.
Yeah.
My little 5-year-old niece, if she takes your phone, she can unlock it.
I'm telling
and go
you.
to YouTube and
Yes.
get on her games, get on the videos that she likes to watch
Yeah.
and all of that within nanoseconds, and it's still shocking to me. And it's not just with her mother's phone, even with my phone, she gets on, her channels and just, she gets to YouTube, so it's amazing. So these children of nowadays are very bright. So we need to teach them very practical lessons, make it fun, make it a game, make it a conversation, right? And they should need to understand, opportunity cost. So you want this ice cream. If I buy you this ice cream, I will not be able to now buy you the shoes, that you said you want for church or for school, and all of that. So as practical as possible, turn it into a game, and it has to be an ongoing conversation. It's not just a one-off conversation and then you leave it at that.
Yes, I think I like what you said, that we should give the children of nowadays credit, because the rate at which they grow, and I don't know why their evolution is like that. Is it because they live in a technological age? Because when you give a little child a device, my own son does that. I don't even know how he opens my phone, even when it's passworded. He goes to YouTube and he goes to what he wants to watch. Though, of course, as a parent, I've also been able to put some safeguards that I try to regulate the kind of content where he goes to. But I like the fact that you also talked about opportunity costs. You know, how do we demystify that relationship between work and money? You know, that if you don't work, and perhaps even work hard at that, you don't earn money to get the beautiful things of life.
Right, that's a great question, Nancy. The truth of the matter is that, in this part of the world, especially, we have this thing around money, as you know, we've given it, we just elevated it to almost like, I don't know, some sort of status as in, okay, you're too young to know about money. And a lot of us then struggle because our first, knowledge about how to manage money comes with maybe when we're now in university, or maybe if you're lucky and you went to boarding school, then it would maybe be from secondary school, because obviously you would have been getting an allowance and all of that. So in order to demystify the relationship between work and money, it's important that children understand where money comes from. Now, as I've said earlier, the earliest lesson that children learn is that money is for spending. They know that if they have money, or if their parents have money, they can, get certain things that they like and all of that. But when we then demystify the relationship, it then means that the parents have to now start making a conscious effort to teach their children that if you don't work, you don't get money. Money doesn't grow on trees, literally and figuratively. Right? You have to work in order to get money. And when you then work and you get paid for that money, or you trade or you do a business, children must see that, their parents going out every morning or having a shop in front of the house and all of that is what will actually ensure that money actually comes to the parents. So money isn't something that magically appears in parents' wallets and all of that. So there has to be, repeated and ongoing conversations about, how money is acquired. Money is gotten when you work hard. And if you make, if you get money and you make your money work for you, then sooner than later, you won't have to work for money, because, you will then have money at your fingertips to basically do the things that you need to do. So children need to know this. I know that some parents, might advocate for giving allowances to their children,
Yeah.
In terms of, okay, if you clean up your room, you get an allowance. If you do this, you get this sort of whatever. But I think, that mindset is something that really needs to change, because in my opinion, right, it then puts that, that mentality in the children that before they can do any chores around the house, it's a question of, oh, what's in it for me, right? And that shouldn't be the mindset, So I'm advocating, instead for, a situation whereby children are made to know that everybody in this house is a member of this family unit, and all of us have to contribute in one way or the other. So daddy goes out and brings money back from work and gives it to mommy. Mommy buys food. Mommy goes to the market, buys the food, and makes food in the house for all of us to eat. Then we, as the children, need to do our own part in terms of, looking after the house, sweeping, and doing our chores and all of that. And you can then discuss having an allowance, but let it not be that it's tied to the fact that, oh, it's when they do certain chores that they will get paid. Because that might have the, a negative, consequence, than what's intended, really. So that I think is what would help with demystifying that relationship between work and money.
Okay, let's dig deeper into what you've just said in terms of allowances, because I know that a few parents also do that. If you clean your room, if you do that, I'm going to give you an allowance. Are you having a problem with the name allowances, or you are having a problem that parents shouldn't do that, so that it doesn't stick to the children that, oh, if I do anything, what is in it for me to gain? Or perhaps should we recoin it and perhaps say commission? That you're giving commission for a work well done, or you're giving commission because you earned the money. I hope you understand what I mean, Adaku.
I understand, and
Yes.
I'm right with you there, Nancy. The truth of the matter is that my opinion, like I've said earlier, is that when you tie doing basic chores around the house to being given money, or if you clean up your room, I will give you 1,000 naira. If you pick up your toys, I will give you 500 naira. Then that mindset it then becomes, okay, it's, contributing around the house will come at a cost. I'm advocating, on the contrary, for children to know that just the same way that daddy goes out and brings home money from work and gives to mommy, so daddy has contributed to the family unit, right? Mommy then takes the money, goes to the market, buys foodstuffs, comes back and cooks. Mommy has contributed to the family unit. Then you as the child or you as the children, your own contribution would then be helping to run the house in terms of keeping your quarters clean, washing daddy's car and all of that. What can then happen is that once in a while, the parents can then reward the children, right, for being good, for contributing to the family, to the running of the family and all of that. But making it a condition that if you don't clean your room, I won't give you money, that might have, a negative effect, So that's really what I believe.
If we take a look at this money lessons we're talking about, you mentioned earlier that it would be nice to start teaching children from age 3 money lessons. But I also do know that there are age-to-age money lessons. The way you would teach a 10-year-old is not the way you would teach a 3-year-old. So I would like if you could give us some perspectives on the age-to-age teaching money lessons for children. Just like 3 examples or so. Or even for our teenagers too, because we shouldn't also leave them out. They are all children too.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, so what I believe really is that there's no one size that fits all. Obviously, we also know that children also vary in their growth rate and their development and all of that. So start early, teach the children the lessons about knowing what money is, how it looks, and what it can do. That can start from very early, right? By the time the child now starts getting to 7, at that point, children become very tough negotiators, right? So they're like, okay, mommy, you said that if I came first in school, that I would get A, B, C as a gift or as a reward and all of that. Can you then, make it in such a way that you can then turn this even into a lesson? So you say to the child, okay, I will buy you a PlayStation when you pass your exams, right? Okay, and then you can then tweak it in such a way they say, okay, fine, all this money that you've been saving from relatives giving you money and family, friends and all of that, if you save up to a certain amount, I will then, make up the balance to get you the PlayStation. So at that point, the child at that age 6, 7 now knows that there's a value in saving, and that when you save, you can actually do things with it, right? So you can actually get certain things that you want. It then makes them know that they can actually earn money, right? So they can earn money either by doing well in school, they can earn money either by, making sure that they save the funds that, people have gifted them over time. I know that, growing up, my siblings and I, we had piggy banks, right? And we would save, anytime we got money from anybody, we will put this money in your piggy bank and all that. And at the end of the year, come Christmas, it was also something to look forward to, that in addition to whatever else mommy and daddy would do for us, that the money in the piggy bank would also be used to get us some nice toy or some nice pair of shoes or some dress and the like. So letting children know from that age, 5, 6, 7, 8, that, they can actually, if they save and they work hard in the sense of saving hard, right? That they can actually get the things that they like. As the children then continue to grow, they then get into, the latter parts of primary school and getting into secondary school. They can then know that if they, that they can have an account opened for them, right? This account is, and I think the parents should also start doing things differently now. So it's not just about opening a bank account. Go a step further and open an investment account, and let the children know that if they, then they're now getting to their preteens and the teenage years and all of that, that if they save this money, they can actually use it to get, because at that point, their tastes are probably different. They probably want to get maybe a more expensive phone. They would like a more expensive phone. So those are the things that they can then be, can motivate them to save towards getting those more expensive things. Then obviously getting into university and all of that from the 16, 17 and all of that, still on the, the subject of, having money, saving money, having investments. At that point, they can even see their statements of accounts and know that, okay, this money is what has been garnered for them and all of that. And it's something that they can actually look forward to using, even to start, a small business. And it's never really too late to start. I watched a touching video, I think on CNN some time ago about, during the whole COVID time, there were some children that were actually selling lemonade, and then they sold lemonade and they were able to use that money to buy things to give to people who are less privileged. So at that point, they now have learned about saving, they've learned about investing. They can also now learn about giving as well.
Yeah.
That if you save money, you can actually help the people around you that are less fortunate. Yeah. So breaking it down like that, obviously, like I said, it's not a one size fits all. It will depend on the growth and development rate of your children, but that would obviously, be a rule of thumb to just guide parents in molding their money mindset and helping them to just start making the right decisions or better decisions when it comes to how to spend or save or give out their monies.
Very fundamental, which you've talked about, that money mindsets, and it also has to come from the parents, because you can't give what you don't have. So for parents watching us right now, they need to, undertake or try as much as possible to get money lessons. You can read up, you can join groups, you can watch the show all the time, and all of that for nuggets such as this. The next question will be, how can the poor raise financially independent children? Because when I looked at that clips that we played earlier, you see that these children are not really, some are from poor backgrounds. So how can we really imbibe these money lessons to even a child that is growing up in a very poor setting, where the parents are being saddled with, I've got to even feed my children, let alone even teaching them money lessons?
Like I said, parents ought to just give their children more credit. Children are very, very observant and very perceptive, right? So even if you noticed, some of the children, they said that they will give their mother's money to cook food for the house, right? So that tells you right there that obviously the child might have picked up, that money is tight in that household, and that sometimes even putting food on the table is a challenge. Right. So how can the poor actually raise financially independent children? You're quite right that, more often than not, you can't give what you don't have. And I think that's why a lot of parents struggle with, teaching their children, good money habits and all of that, because they think it's too complicated. They don't even feel that like they're qualified to even teach those life lessons, right? But what I would say really is that the poor can raise financially independent children by simply wanting their children to have better than what they have, right? And so, parents can then begin to inculcate in their children the values of, going to school, doing well in school, making something of themselves, so that obviously their own lives will be better. And that obviously when they start, working or doing any sort of business or earning money and all of that, those kind of children, will not likely be the ones that will just go all out and start, spending money in the clubs and, living some sort of lifestyle and all that, because they know where they're coming from. Right. And that would ultimately be a driving force, not just to change their own lives, but also the lives of their families. So I think having open conversations, even if you don't have those open conversations, and these sorts of households where money is tight or where parents are fighting over school fees hasn't been paid and all of that, children pick up these things, whether we like it or not, whether we realize it or not. So it's just important that, everything, some of these challenges will then be turned into a life lesson or into a conversation, right? Okay, so you see that now we're struggling, as a family now. Okay, maybe because daddy has lost his job, or maybe because this and that has happened, But you do know that when we do get money, or when we start working hard, or when we do things differently, or when this happens, or when that happens, monies will now no longer be an issue, because we'll then be able to use it to, start a proper business, build the business, and then things will be better. So children can be taught these things aside from the things that they pick up. So it would be well for us as parents, to talk to our children, make them understand that, the family is going through a rough patch now, but obviously things will get better. And that when things get better, this is what will make things better. And then when things get better, monies will not be used for XYZ purposes, which will also ensure that that's, that good patch is now sustained and built upon.
Okay, finally, as we round up, you talked about investment earlier. How can you plan your child's financial future when you have a 9-to-5 job, really? Because, for some people it's very hard. Minimum wage in Nigeria is 30,000 naira. And for many families in Nigeria, the average children in an average Nigerian household is 4, as it were. So how do you plan your children's financial future with a 9-to-5 job, whether you are earning, let's say, 100,000 naira as a man, that perhaps the woman is also there earning perhaps like a 60,000, or has a side hustle, a business by the side? Is it possible?
Absolutely. And I would say that if you have a 9-to-5 job, then it comes more easily to you, right, to actually save and invest, because of the certainty and the fact that your source of income is defined. It comes like clockwork at the end of every month or at the beginning of the next month and all of that. So you're then able to plan. as against business owners that might have times when their businesses are not doing so well or going through a rough patch and all that. So when you do have a 9 to 5 job and you have a defined salary and all that, I think that group, that particular demographic, it actually becomes easier for them to actually save and invest on behalf of their children. So what then happens, I've told people over and over again that I think, standing payment orders, are the next best thing since the invention of sliced bread, because it helps you stay disciplined, right? And remember, I said that parents need to start doing things differently. I know the norm basically is that once you have your child, the naming ceremony of the child, whatever monies you're given, you would use it to open an account for the child and all of that. And then obviously when the child grows, the account is then handed over to the child upon adulthood and all of that. But I'm advocating really for us as parents to start doing things differently. So instead of just opening a bank account, open an investment account, right? And because you have a 9 to 5 job, you can have a standing payment order from your bank so that funds are deducted on XYZ day of every month, and it goes directly into that investment account that you've opened for your child or for your children. And obviously the money is then able to grow, and interest compounds and all of that. And we must remember too that when it comes to investing, it's a marathon and not a sprint. So every parent and all that, just keep hanging in there. If you have a 9 to 5 job with a standing payment order, you can start an investment account in a mutual fund, for example, for as low as 5,000 naira. Right, and then grow it over time, and with the power of compounding of the interest, by the time the child gets to teenage or is even ready for university, you'll be amazed at the tidy sum that would have accrued in that investment account.
I think that's the much you can take now, Adaku. Thank you very much for your useful insights this morning, and I hope that parents watching us would be able to take 1 or 2 nuggets out of this interview. Thank you very much. Hope to talk to you soon. Let's do this again sometime.
Thank you very much, Nancy.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Thank you. I've been speaking with Adaku Idara, who is the Managing Director and the Chief Executive Officer at Emerging Africa Asset Management Limited. We've been talking about teaching children good money lessons. And it's a wrap from me this week. I hope to see you all again on Monday, bright and early, with another guest, with another topic. Be the best you can be, and be the change that you want to see. We are all keenly watching what's happening with the APC. I guess this weekend we'll sort that out. I'll see you all on Monday. Bye for now.